Hello, everybody. My webcam is apparently not working today. Not sure what's going on. So this is going to be more of a podcast than a video interview, but I hope this still proves useful for you. Today, I'm here with Erin Kessel. She is a fourth grade teacher at Aden Elementary School. Welcome, Erin.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're going to talk about the Global Read Aloud today. Will you just start off, give us a little bit of information about how you run your classroom and your students?
So I am a part of the Tech Venture Grant.
And they're mowing the grass.
Recipient. So I have a class set of Chromebooks in my room that my students use on a daily basis. We're a very collaborative bunch, so they're constantly engaged in group work, and we've got a large class, very dynamic, fun group, and it's always fun when I can introduce them to the Global Read Aloud because it allows them to work with not only peers in their own room, but students all over the world.
Nice. I'm playing with settings here, seeing if I can figure out how to get the camera on, and it's not working. All right. And there goes the lawnmower again. This is going to be great, everybody. All right. So can you tell us what the Global Read Aloud is and kind of what all it involves?
So the Global Read Aloud is a program that was started in 2010, and the purpose of it is to connect students all over the world using one book. They have a predetermined selection of books that are basically based on age groups. So you could be in kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade and still participate in this program. You select the book that best fits your class, and then you have the opportunity to connect with classes around the world that also are doing the same book. Once you build those connections with those other classes and those teachers, you have the opportunity to decide how little or how much interaction you want to do with those other classes, whether it's through forms of technology, FaceTime, live video chats, or using programs like Seesaw or Edmodo. But then if you don't have a lot of technology, simply taking videos on your phone and emailing them to the other class is another great opportunity, or even just simple pen pals. But the whole purpose of the Global Read Aloud program is really to get our students to be able to meet and see or interact with students all over the world, and basically allow them to create their own opinions and break some of those stereotypes that are developed through media and what they hear about others around the world, and see how much kids have in common, all not only through the book, but just their common interests.
Awesome. So it is for kindergarten through 12th grade. I'm assuming they have different books for different age levels.
Yes, so they have picture books, and it's usually an author study or illustrator study, and it's usually 4 to 5 books, and that is intended where you basically work on one book each week for the given period of time. And then I usually pick the upper elementary book that ranges between 4th and 5th grade level. They have a middle school level book, and then a usually middle to high school level, and then a high school level book. So they have 4 different chapter books to choose from, and then they also have that book study based on the author illustrator.
For the younger grades?
Yeah.
Awesome. I know my son's class did. He's in 1st grade, and they did the picture books.
Awesome.
This year. So his teacher was really excited and really enjoyed that. Is it a year-long project? Is it a month-long? Like when does it happen?
So it always begins at the beginning of October. It's a 6-week period program. This year it'll start on October 1st, and it is intended to then last for 6 weeks. The program will actually give you a layout of which chapters to read each week. The only nice thing is when you make these connections that you can change that if needed. For instance, a couple years ago during Hurricane Matthew, we were out for a little while and it kind of disrupted our schedule. I reached out to the other teachers. They were completely understanding, and we were able to kind of pause the program for about a week there and then pick back up when we got back. So we did not stay on Global Read Aloud's schedule that year, but the other classes that I was working with together we're able to still connect and go through the book at the same pace.
Cool. Do you still stay connected with any of your classrooms from the past?
There are two that the teacher and I have tried to connect actually back on the same books again. But for various reasons, either they've changed grade levels or I've changed schools, or our dates haven't matched up. We haven't been able to re-engage for a second year. So each year I have started with a new class, which is kind of fun because working with new people and new parts of the world is always exciting to learn new things, new programs that are out there, and new ideas. But personally, I do stay connected with a couple of the teachers.
Okay. So it sounds awesome. I'm a teacher and I want to make sure that I participate this year. So what is the process? What do I need to do?
So you need to go to the website. It is www.theglobalreadaloud.com. You sign up, takes like a hot minute. And after you sign up, you will be sent links for either Edmodo groups or Facebook groups or even Twitter groups based on the book that you select. So you, of course, want to look at the list of books that are being selected for this year, and they've already posted those. And once you have selected the book, you will go to that Facebook group or that Edmodo group. And it's basically like speed dating. You will find maybe teachers that are up there from specific countries you're interested in, and you will say, you know, my name is Erin Kessel, and I teach in Ada, North Carolina, and I would like to connect via these platforms. And then other teachers will respond back if that's something they're interested in, and you build your connections through that way. Once you have created that connection, the next step is to basically find your access to those books. And so in order to find, my preference is that I want a book in every one of my kids' hands. And so that can be rather daunting, especially if they're newer books, because then they're only hardback books. So the best ways that I have found is either through Donors Choose. Some years my administration has been incredibly kind and actually purchased those sets. And then my purpose is I just gift them into the media center for other grades to use and other classes to use later on. Or mini grants by Pitt County Education Foundation have been wonderful the past couple of years. So they have actually funded our books as well. And I know that a friend of mine who does the picture study just recently posted it on Donors Choose and tagged the author in her tweet. And the author is sending her 5 signed copies of the book.
Oh, wow.
So you never know what you might get when you're out there looking to get those books in your kids' hands.
Awesome. How many years have you done this?
This was my 5th year.
Okay. So you have lots of experience.
Mm-hmm.
What are some tips for new teachers through this process, and maybe some challenges that you've met along the way and how you kind of worked around those?
So it doesn't begin until October, but you really need to start thinking about this in the summer. And I know that as teachers, that can sometimes be hard to be going back to the school brain in the summer, but it's really going to benefit you in the long run. I predetermine which book I'm going to do actually at the end of each school year. So I already know which book I plan on using in the fall. And over the summer, I'm going to start finding the cheapest ways that I can get that class set. Talking with my administration about if it's an option that they can fund it. If not, then what other ways can I get those books in my kids' hands? And then as the school year starts, right around September, I'm already beginning to make connections with other teachers. So it does require a bit of planning in the beginning, but it is well worth it. And the reactions and experiences your kids have are so meaningful. The funding is definitely a challenge. I can say that I've never not been able to get them funded, and I've never had to personally pay out of my own pockets for them. So there are definitely ways and means of going about getting those books for your kids. I would say that through my own experiences, the less connections that I build, the better I feel like my experience for my kids are, because they're able to really get to know these kids. I usually find that 2 classes is the best number. And the reason for that is that way they're not getting confused. Am I talking to the class from New Zealand? Am I talking to the class from Canada or the class from China? And they really get to know these other students and get to share some meaningful conversation about the book, but about life, and build some relationships of their own. There are other people who are looking to just hear from as many other schools around the world as possible. So that's just not my personal preference. And then the other thing that definitely can be a challenge is that it does have specified dates. Like I mentioned earlier, you might have something coming up where you have to alter those dates. And whoever you have decided to connect with or partner with, you just kind of need to make sure that they're comfortable with that. So picking some classes and teachers that you can tell might be flexible if needed. And like I said earlier, kind of fit that speed dating and what you're looking for.
Cool. So you've kind of already spoke to this a little bit. How does Global Read Aloud encourage collaboration and connecting with other teachers? And I wanted you to talk a little bit about your project that you did with ECU this year.
Yeah, so we had a great opportunity this year to actually work with ECU and the College of Education. Dr. Terry Atkinson is amazing, and she basically brought over my entire class to ECU's campus, and we were able to use the Global Education Classroom. There, my kids were actually able to do a live mystery location activity with a class in British Columbia, and we were able to use this room, and my kids were basically using maps and going from the entire world and getting clues live, and being able to see these other kids in Canada, not knowing that's where they were from, and giving clues and getting clues to basically narrow down the location. And it was just amazing to see both my class being able to narrow it down all the way from anywhere in the world, all the way to British Columbia, and their class actually was able to identify our school thanks to some of our kids wearing our school's t-shirts. So we've learned next year not to wear our own t-shirts on that day. But it was amazing because not only did my kids get the experience of meeting and seeing these other kids somewhere else in the world, but they also got the experience of going to this huge university and seeing what this university has to offer them, and getting to meet some really incredible and kind professors. Dr. Guidry was also there, and he also made it happen. Got to eat lunch there, and they just really enjoyed that. So, my belief is we need to let our kids form their own opinions, and the best way to do that is by their own personal interactions. So the more that we can allow them to do that, whether it's through a live FaceTime video or it's through digital discussions like using an Edmodo platform where they can basically talk safely back and forth to each other. And it, like I said, it starts with talking about the book and turns into their common share of Minecraft. And then they're, enjoying that conversation. So it really builds on that global awareness and also that understanding that although we might look different or speak differently, that doesn't mean that we're entirely different people.
Awesome. And can you give us the website one more time?
Yes, so it's www.theglobalreadaloud.com.
And I will post that link in the comments for the YouTube video as well as on our Facebook page. If you have not liked our Facebook page yet, please do that. We're at facebook.com/P as in Paul, CS Digital Learning. PCS Digital Learning. Yes, that's it. Again, I apologize for the technical difficulties. Not real sure why my webcam is not working. Hopefully we'll get that fixed for next week. Next week, we're going to be talking to Mary Holloman, who is a middle school teacher, about how she is using Canvas in her classroom. Hope to see you then. Thank you, Erin.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, and we'll hopefully see y'all next week. Bye.